Thank you, Professor Joglekar. I start the presentation rushing. I will rush through the initial things, but I would like to acknowledge my guru, my mentor, Professor R.S. Bisht, who could not be here with us. And I thank IIT Gandhinagar, Ministry of Culture, Government of India, ASI, my parent organization, IGNCA, and all those scholars and institutions who have worked on Harappan civilization and to understand the antecedent phases. So this chart we have been seeing in various presentations, and particularly I want to focus on the earliest phases here, where Mehergarh we have extensive evidences of long distance trade in the form of early forming settlements, exquisite jewelry, steatite, carnelian, lapis lazuli, turquoise coming from different periods. We have also evidence of some early craft activities. But looking into the long distance trade, I want to concentrate here, because if you look into the trade activities, we know that Turbinella pyrum was coming from Karachi coast, another type of shell coming from the Makran, and mother of pearl coming from the Oman coast. So, and lapis lazuli from Afghanistan, turquoise from Central Asia. So we have in the 8th millennium BCE context, long distance trade, different products reaching the inland Mehergarh. So how did this happen? Actually, in this context, the discoveries made by Paulo Biaggi, particularly on the Las Bela coast of Pakistan, near Karachi and also Duan Bay. So it has revealed a lot of shell midden sites on the Pakistan sites, and he has also dated that ranges between 8th and 5th millennium BP actually. I mean, there's an error. So it is the final phase of the shell midden sites is actually coincides with the Harappan phase. So that is really remarkable. And at Dholavira, we know that some of the shell species as done by Arti Deshpande. So it also continues during the Harappan phase, this Terebrelia palustris, which is the most conspicuous shell varieties present in this environment, the shell midden things. That is adapted to a mangrove environment. The investigations of Paulo Biaggi actually indicate right from the Oman coast to Pakistan coast, we have a series of sites datable between 8th and 5th millennium BCE, which clearly indicate a different kind of environment at that particular point of time, and we're supporting settlements, not permanent settlements, maybe hunter-gatherer type of communities. These settlements are indicated by the scatter of shells on the surface. At places they are exposed, at many places they are not at all exposed. Like here from the Duan Bay, you can see the large scatter of shell middens exposed, and also some of the eroded surfaces where we can see the half-broken Terebrelia palustris. This is a most important component of the shell midden sites. Wherever the Terebrelia palustris are present, they are half-broken. The ancient communities, they have broken the shell to extract the meat, and they have discarded them in a huge dump sort of thing. So these sites were actually documented on the Pakistan side, and very interestingly, some of the sites they have large presence of lithic elements also. You can see a core here, fluted core here, and there were also other lithics, bladelets, blades, and all those things were found. Even net sinkers have been found in some of the sites. And this is the background, and you can see some sites like at Sonari near Hab river in Pakistan. They also have this kind of net sinkers, basically prepared out of the beach pebbles and this kind of bladelet. So this is the kind of lithic assemblage associated with the shell middens, basically Terebrelia palustris. I mean, we have other shell varieties also, but the most prominent findings are these Terebrelia palustris. Similarly, we have on the Oman side lot of sites again documented by various scholars and summarized very beautifully by Paulo Biaggi in his 2019 article. So with this background, when we were looking into some of the remains at Bhamanka, it's a site near Dholavira, nearly 7 to 8 kilometers from Dholavira. There is a Harappan site right on the hilltop. This is a small hill. Right on the hilltop, there is a Harappan site. And we have been visiting these sites since 2015. And later on, when one of the team of IIT Gandhinagar, they visited, there was a small ditch cut to lay a pipeline. So there was a huge assemblage of this shell remains. So it was dated, and it was dating back to 6th millennium BP. I mean, all 3 dates they fall in the 7th millennium, 7th millennium BP. And the shell varieties also belong to the Terebrelia palustris. Now we are in the process of studying the paleoclimatic scenario by understanding doing the stable isotope analysis. And during the course of this documentation, we came across three more sites actually. I mean, three more sites, and these are the shells. Basically, this is the dorsal and the ventral view. You can see how they have been broken at the middle. And interestingly, one pounding stone also we found near the remains. And these are the three dates what we have got, and we are in the process of dating other sites also. And this very well correlates with the Pakistan evidence, as I told you earlier. And these are the surface remains. If you look into the structure on the top of this Bamanka, it's a clear-cut Harappan site. We have a goblet of the typical Harappan face goblet, and also reserved slipped ware from the surface, which we also document. This is the reserved slipped ware sherd and the goblet base, and this clearly indicates a continuity also. Later on, when we were inquiring about any such remains near the surface or any dug up part, so the villagers near Dholavira, they came up with many different places. This is very close to Dholavira, right on the edge of Dholavira village, Karoda River, Longwali, it is known as Longwali locally. There again, due to the cutting up of a ditch here, we could see a huge concentration of Tereberalia palustris alone. So this was again documented, and interestingly, all these sites, they are either 1.5 to 2 kilometers away from the present run of Kutch coast. I mean, either the sea level might have been higher, it could have been 500 meters inland, but it's very difficult to say as in the present context. But interestingly, all of them fall within a range of 1.5 to 2 kilometers. So again, these the shell remains from the site very clearly attest to the kind of breakage pattern noticed here as well as on the Pakistan side. And lot of lithic remains were found from this site particularly. We found lot of lithics, bladelets, cores, and these are some of the cores, very small cores, but bladelets, lot of bladelets, and also raw materials. This clearly indicate what Paulo Biaggi calls them as the Neolithic hunter-gatherers. I mean, I don't agree with the term Neolithic, but the lithic assemblage is microlithic basically. And they were procuring stones, not only locally available stones, but also stones not available locally. I mean, we don't know yet exactly the provenance, but yet these kind of dark chert, they are not available locally. So that is another clear indication that they are having some long distance trade. So this is a site recently we documented. Again, it is 12 to 15 kilometers away from Dholavira. Only the surface indications indicate wherever there is a small channel dug, one can see the shell remains. Otherwise, it's all agricultural track. But the interesting feature is that all these sites, they are on the bank of some river away from the run of Kutch coast. So this one is the fourth site where there is no Tereberalia palustris, but it's an oyster species, Avicennia marina. This is a bivalve, and this is completely different from the other three sites. But again, it is adapted to a mangrove environment. So these kind of evidences, it clearly indicates the presence of prehistoric communities at least 1,500 to 2,000 years before the occupation of Dholavira itself. So it has long-term implications. Now it has opened a new vista to study more and more about the prehistoric communities in the Kutch region, particularly the coastal communities, which might have been communicating with the Pakistani coast as well as even up to Mehergarh, because Turbinella pyrum, which is available along the Karachi coast as well as the Gulf of Kutch coast, it might have been procured by these coastal communities, and they might have traded with the inland center. So that is one real-time possibility which was highlighted by previous investigators also. And even the presence of agate carnelian at Mehergarh, again that should have come from Gujarat region only. So all these evidences clearly point to the fact that the presence of contemporary communities living in these coastal areas, they might have contributed to the long distance trade activities, at least dating back to 7th millennium BP. I mean, the Kutch evidence indicates 7th millennium BP. Pakistan, we have 8th millennium BP evidence. So this is how, I mean, the emerging picture. I mean, all these sites, if you look into this is Dholavira. This is the Dholavira, and this is the oyster yielding site. And this is very close to Dholavira, that is the shell midden site. And this is Bamanka, and this is Ganeshpur. So you can note the kind of distance from the Ran of Kutch. I mean, they are approximately 1.7 to 3, 2.5 to 3 kilometers away from the coast. And we have more information about 3 more sites. We will be looking into them very, in the near future. So that what we understand is that all along the coast, there were communities living in the along the coastal region exploiting these shell remains, and also they might have been communicating with the Pakistani side. And agate carnelian being one of the most important aspect raw material found in Gujarat, definitely there could have been some possibility of trade happening because of these communities. So this is how we can understand the presence of exotic raw materials at Mehergarh, which is nearly 600 kilometers from the coastal areas, and this kind of raw materials reaching there without any intermediary sites, and with the presence of the shell midden sites, it clearly explains the presence of hunter-gatherer communities who might be participating in this long distance trade. I think that's the end. Thank you.